The legendary drummer's children witnessed his darkest moments during Fleetwood Mac's heyday, with young Amy and Lucy watching their father sleep until late afternoons after substance-fueled binges, feeling ignored for days on end while growing up on tour. One daughter nearly drowned in a terrifying pool accident that left her fighting for her life, while others chose vastly different paths, from rock royalty to rural simplicity. Here's what really happened to Mick Fleetwood's children. Amy Fleetwood. Amy Fleetwood's journey from rock royalty to rural simplicity represents one of the most dramatic transformations among celebrity children who grew up in the chaotic world of 1970s music stardom. Born Amelia Rose Fleetwood on January 17, 1971, in London, England, Amy was thrust into an extraordinary childhood that would shape her entire approach to life and family. As the eldest daughter of Fleetwood Mac drummer Mick Fleetwood and model Jenny Boyd, Amy's early years were spent witnessing the dark side of rock and roll fame that most fans never see. During Fleetwood Mac's peak success in the mid to late 70s, Mick brought his young daughters Amy and Lucy on tour with the band, believing he was creating a family experience. However, this decision exposed the children to their father's severe substance abuse problems during some of his worst periods. Amy and her younger sister Lucy found themselves in the disturbing position of becoming caretakers for their own father, watching him sleep until late afternoons after nights of heavy drug and alcohol use. The girls didn't understand that their father had passed out from substance abuse and instead believed he was seriously ill, creating a constant state of worry and fear. Amy later recalled feeling invisible during these periods, saying she felt like she was right there but completely ignored by her father for days at a time. The trauma of these early experiences with addiction and neglect would profoundly influence Amy's later life choices and her deep appreciation for stability and sobriety. When her father met Lynn Frankel in 1989, Amy witnessed a dramatic transformation in her family dynamics. Lynn refused to marry Mick until he addressed his addiction issues, and her ultimatum became the catalyst for his recovery. Amy has consistently credited Lynn with saving not just her father's life, but the entire family structure. Following her unconventional childhood, Amy channeled her experiences into creative and professional pursuits. She built a successful career in the fashion industry, working her way up to become the West Coast associate editor at Vogue magazine. Her work extended beyond editing to include styling, photography, casting, and consulting for various fashion brands and photographers. Amy developed what she described as a real love for photography and held several fine art exhibitions of her own work. In 2002, Amy made the decision to leave her editorial position at Vogue to pursue freelance work as a stylist and photographer. This career change represented her first major step toward prioritizing personal freedom over traditional success. She had her first photography exhibition in October of that year and spoke about how much freer her life had become compared to her earlier years in London. Amy became a single mother to two children, Wolf and Izzy, raising them in Shadow Hills, about 20 miles outside central Los Angeles, where she kept horses, dogs, and even a blue fish. Her approach to motherhood reflected her determination to provide the stability and presence she had missed during her own childhood. On September 30, 2019, Amy married Will Simpson, and the couple made the significant decision to relocate to the mountains of Ojai, California. There, they established a small farm complete with goats, chickens, horses, and what Amy humorously described as a pair of badly behaved, overly energetic dogs. This rural lifestyle represents Amy's ultimate rejection of the glamorous but unstable world she grew up in, choosing instead to prioritize family, creativity, and authentic living over fame and traditional career advancement. Lucy Fleetwood. Lucy Fleetwood has achieved something remarkably rare among celebrity children: complete invisibility from public scrutiny. Born around 1973 as the second daughter of Fleetwood Mac drummer Mick Fleetwood and model Jenny Boyd, Lucy has managed to live her entire adult life away from the media attention that typically follows the offspring of rock legends, creating what may be the most successful privacy strategy of any celebrity child from her generation. Like her older sister Amy, Lucy's childhood was marked by the devastating experience of watching her father struggle with severe substance abuse during Fleetwood Mac's most successful period. The two sisters were brought along on the band's tours throughout the mid to late 1970s, ostensibly to keep the family together, but instead found themselves witnessing Mick's darkest moments as he battled cocaine addiction and alcoholism. Lucy and Amy developed an intense protective instinct toward their father, feeling what Lucy later described as constant 24-hour, 7-day-a-week concern for his well-being. The girls would watch over him as he slept for extended periods, not understanding that his inability to wake up until late afternoons was the result of drug and alcohol abuse rather than illness. This traumatic childhood experience of feeling responsible for a parent's welfare while being powerless to help created lasting psychological impacts that likely influenced Lucy's later decision to avoid public attention entirely. The sisters shared the painful experience of being ignored by their father for days at a time during his worst periods, creating a sense of abandonment that occurred paradoxically while living in close quarters during touring. These early experiences with unpredictability, neglect, and the chaos that surrounded addiction appeared to shape Lucy's adult preference for privacy and control over her environment. Unlike many celebrity children who either embrace fame or publicly reject it, Lucy chose a third path: complete withdrawal from any form of public presence. She has no known social media accounts, no documented career in entertainment or fashion, and no public appearances at industry events or family gatherings that might be photographed. Her approach to privacy is so thorough that basic details about her life, including whether she has ever married, had children, or pursued higher education, remain completely unknown. This level of privacy extends even to her relationship with her famous father. As Lucy rarely appears in any public contexts with Mick Fleetwood, despite maintaining what appears to be a close family relationship. On the rare occasions when she has been photographed with family members, these images typically date back many years and provide no insight into her current circumstances or lifestyle. Lucy's success in maintaining this privacy is particularly remarkable given the intense media interest in Fleetwood Mac and the ongoing public fascination with the personal lives of band members and their families. While her sister Amy eventually found a balance between privacy and selective public engagement through her work in fashion and photography, Lucy appears to have chosen complete separation from any world that might connect her to her father's fame. Her ability to remain entirely out of the spotlight represents perhaps the most extreme example of a celebrity child successfully creating boundaries between their inherited fame and their chosen life, suggesting a level of intentionality and discipline that has allowed her to live entirely on her own terms without any public scrutiny or documentation of her adult choices. Ruby Fleetwood. Ruby Fleetwood's life took a dramatically different trajectory from her older half-sisters, marked by both a terrifying near-death experience and a successful academic achievement that demonstrates her resilience and determination. Born in 2002 as one of twin daughters to Mick Fleetwood and his third wife Lynn Frankel, Ruby grew up in a more stable family environment than her older siblings had experienced, benefiting from her father's sobriety and a healthier family dynamic. On July 18, 2008, when Ruby was just 6 years old, she nearly lost her life in a swimming pool accident that would become one of the most frightening moments in the Fleetwood family's history. Ruby and her twin sister Tessa were on a playdate with close family friends at a pool in the Hidden Hills area of Los Angeles when the accident occurred. Contrary to early media reports that suggested Ruby had been doing cartwheels near the pool or had hit her head, The actual circumstances were both more mundane and more terrifying. Ruby, who was described by her mother Lynn as an extremely strong swimmer, was doing somersaults in the pool when something went wrong during one of the underwater rotations. She became disoriented beneath the surface and swallowed what medical professionals later described as a high quantity of water. The disorientation prevented her from finding her way back to the surface, and she lost consciousness while still underwater. Family friends at the scene immediately performed CPR on Ruby after pulling her from the pool, successfully reviving her before paramedics arrived. She was rushed by ambulance to West Hills Hospital, where medical staff worked to stabilize her condition before transferring her several hours later to the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. The accident was classified by Dr. Keith Kimball as potentially extremely serious, with the medical team initially uncertain about Ruby's chances for a full recovery. Ruby remained in critical but stable condition for several days, while doctors monitored her for potential complications from the near-drowning experience. Her mother Lynn later described how the medical professionals at Cedars-Sinai were stunned by Ruby's rapid recovery, noting that based on her condition when she arrived at the hospital 12 days earlier, none of them had expected her to progress so quickly. Ruby's recovery exceeded all medical expectations, and she was walking on her own, drawing, kicking a ball, and recognizing everyday words and objects much sooner than anticipated. The family spokesman reported that Ruby's smile remained bright, her eyes sparkled, and her sense of humor was described as funnier than ever before, indicating that she had not only survived the accident, but retained her full personality and cognitive abilities. She was discharged from the pediatric unit on July 31, 2008, after nearly 2 weeks of intensive medical care. Following her complete recovery from the drowning accident, Ruby went on to pursue higher education at the University of Arizona, where she studied human development and family science. She graduated in 2024 with a Bachelor of Science degree, demonstrating strong academic performance and a commitment to understanding human behavior, family dynamics, and community health through her chosen field of study. After graduation, Ruby briefly worked as a sales associate at Aviator Nation, a California-based lifestyle clothing brand, in their Malibu location from May to December 2023, gaining experience in customer service and retail operations while maintaining the relatively low-profile lifestyle that characterizes most of the Fleetwood children. Tessa Fleetwood. Tessa Fleetwood has lived a remarkably different childhood experience compared to her older half-sisters, growing up in a stable, sober household while maintaining unique connections to some of the biggest names in music history. Born in 2002 as the twin sister of Ruby Fleetwood, Tessa represents the new generation of Fleetwood children who benefited from their father's recovery and a more grounded family environment established by her mother, Lynn Frankel. One of the most extraordinary aspects of Tessa's upbringing has been having Stevie Nicks, the legendary Fleetwood Mac vocalist, serve as her godmother. This relationship stems from the complex history between Stevie and Mick Fleetwood, who had a brief romantic relationship in the late 1970s that ultimately ended their personal involvement but preserved their professional and family connections. Despite the complicated past, Stevie embraced her role as godmother to both Tessa and Ruby, maintaining a close relationship with the family and participating in significant milestones throughout the twins' childhood. Tessa's most publicly documented adventure occurred when she was 12 years old and expressed a strong desire to see the British boy band One Direction perform live. She and Ruby specifically requested to see Harry Styles, prompting their father Mick to arrange tickets for one of the band's final concerts at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. What began as a simple father-daughter outing evolved into something much more significant when the One Direction organization arranged for the Fleetwood family to participate in a backstage meet-and-greet experience. The encounter created an unexpected dynamic that Mick Fleetwood later described in detail during interviews. While Tessa and Ruby had hoped to meet their teenage idol Harry Styles, the situation reversed when Harry and the other band members became more interested in meeting the legendary Fleetwood Mac drummer. Mick found himself in the amusing position of trying to fade into the background so his daughters could enjoy their moment, only to discover that the young musicians were gravitating toward him instead. This backstage meeting led to an ongoing friendship between Mick Fleetwood and Harry Styles that has continued well beyond One Direction's eventual breakup. Harry had grown up listening to Fleetwood Mac's music, creating an immediate connection that transcended the generational gap between the veteran rock drummer and the young pop star. Their relationship has included Harry performing Fleetwood Mac songs during his solo career and various collaborative interactions over the years. The One Direction experience represents one of the few publicly documented events in Tessa's life, as she has generally maintained a low profile despite her famous family connections. Unlike many celebrity children, who either embrace the spotlight or actively rebel against it, Tessa appears to have found a comfortable middle ground, where she can enjoy the benefits of her family's musical legacy while maintaining personal privacy. At 22 years old, Tessa remains largely out of the public eye, with no confirmed career path or professional commitments. Reports suggest she is expected to complete her college education soon, though details about her chosen field of study or specific academic institution have not been made public. Her approach to privacy mirrors that of several other Fleetwood children, suggesting a family preference for keeping personal achievements and life choices away from media scrutiny while maintaining close family relationships and enjoying the unique experiences that come with their musical heritage.